Do you like the idea of attracting more patients through medical doctor referrals, but you're not really sure how to get past the gatekeepers? So, this is Chen Yen, your 6 and 7 figure practice makeover mentor at introvertedvisionary.com. And welcome to my show today on AAC Live. Uh, you might have been thinking about getting referrals from medical doctors, but let's talk about, well, how do you actually connect with them? Because some of the most common challenges that I hear are having trouble getting past the gatekeepers, or how do you approach them so that they actually do take you seriously? And then what if they're saying things to you like you're not a part of my insurance network, or they might seem skeptical? And the truth is that as far as MDs go, it is true, not every medical doctor will refer. But did you know that medical doctors have thousands of patients in their practices, and many would be actually happy to tell their patients about you if they knew about you and how you could help their patients? So as we get into this, I want to share let me just think about this, what I want to share. Okay, so then is it worth it to you to develop that relationship with a medical doctor? And you just only need, you don't need a ton of medical doctors referring. You just need a handful of medical doctors who are your biggest champions. And remember, they don't always have to be medical doctors either. They could also be other kinds of conventional medicine practitioners or holistic health practitioners too. So whether it be nurse practitioners or nurses or PAs, I have clients who are nurse practitioners also, and they say, hey, don't forget about us. It's actually easier to get in with us than medical doctors as well. And then you could also look at it like making connections with other holistic health practitioners, for example, chiropractors or naturopathic doctors, to mutually collaborate on working as a team more, to collaborate more on getting better outcomes for your patients. So specifically, let me give you 3 hot tips related to connecting with MDs. And this comes from my experience of having worked in different settings, in the hospital setting as a pharmacist, as in the outpatient setting. Also, I've been in the insides of the FDA and at Merck, and having seen what actually gets medical doctors to refer and what doesn't, and giving you the shortcut to that. So, and by the way, I have to, okay, so as far as the tips that I was going to share with you, so the number 1 tip of connecting and getting in with MDs is to actually go around the gatekeepers. Because if you're just facing the gatekeepers, what are they doing? They're there to screen you out. One of the most common mistakes is actually also sending things like letters. But what happens to a letter? Just think about the kinds of mail you get in your office, and you look at one and you don't know, you don't really recognize it. What do you do, right? It's like, and this is what the gatekeeper might be doing. It's like, right? So then how do you actually approach going around the gatekeepers? One hot tip is to actually message the doctor on a platform like LinkedIn. So this is an avenue that our clients right now are getting really good results from. And we had a client of ours who's been doing this, and then he's been getting Zoom meetings with the medical doctor. He also offers up to meet in person too. But isn't it nice to have that opportunity where you don't have to leave your house, you don't have to leave your clinic, and then you could just do a Zoom with a medical doctor and start to help them be more aware of how you can help their patients. So that is one hot tip. And then you just need to know what exactly to be messaging them, and then what to do if they don't actually get back to you, right? So, but that's one thing that's working really well for our clients. And then the second hot tip is, and these are tips that I'm teaching you from the Doctor Referral Success Roadmap in our Consistent Patients Makeover mentorship for introverts. And so it's to actually go through your existing patients. See, this is, instead of sending letters, instead of calling the office and then they're like, who are you? some of the most low-hanging fruit is think about the patients you've had good results with, and or who have been very appreciative of your care, and how can you actually ask the patients more about their primary care doctor if they have one, or other kinds of practitioners they see, and then you can ask them, do you like them, right? Because it's also important to get a sense of what that practitioner is like. The people who will likely refer most to you, and also the people you'll enjoy working with the most, are ones who are most aligned with you value-wise. So it's not just about reaching out to any kind of provider. It's also helpful to be discerning too about who you develop these relationships with. And then how do you go about this? So after you have a better sense of whether you want to connect with that doctor or not, then you could always suggest that the patient bring it up to the medical doctor about how they've been coming to your practice, and essentially putting a word in for you, right? Just saying, tell your doctor how it's been for you coming here, and I would love to connect with your doctor, because I would love to I'm developing my network of referrals and in the area, and wanted to connect with, would like to talk to them and understand their practice philosophy better, as there might be the need, opportunity for mutual referrals, or when the need arises. So that is something that you could bring up to your patient. And then what happens when after that? How do you actually approach the doctor when doctor's office and doctor? So we actually have a template for this that I want to make sure you have, because that way you could just use it, and right away are ready to help you with getting into the next step of this. And you can go to, I'll give you the website link. So it's at introvertedvisionary.com/get MD referrals. So it's introvertedvisionary.com/get MD referrals. And there you can download a template that will be instantly, and you could use that to help you with, well, what do you actually, how do you go about, what do you say to that doctor once you actually have that opportunity to connect with that doctor, so that you start getting referrals. You're more likely to start getting referrals sooner rather than later. So the third hot tip of what you can do to go around the gatekeepers instead of just talking to the gatekeepers and then them screening you out, is to educate the doctors through a talk or a webinar where you're in front of the providers. So why is this? It's because many times when you might not be getting referrals, it's because of one of three reasons. And let's have a look at the slides here. So let's hop into the second slide here. So and also in terms of the, and go ahead and go to the second slide. So this first one is just that most people often quit, right? When they're looking at getting referrals from doctors, they're just like, well, they try a little bit and then they quit. And they're like, well, this thing doesn't work. Whereas it might be that it's just because you haven't had a system in place that works to have it happen. Because we have clients, imagine if you actually had 3 providers sending you 1 or 2 referrals a week. What would that do for your practice? It'll get filled up pretty quickly, right? So in order to increase the number of referrals, for example, if whether you're not getting any or whether you're already getting some, let's look at the 3 reasons why you may not be getting referrals as much right now. One, and then we'll talk about why the webinar, also doing a talk, and then how that kind of thing can help speed up this these referrals thing happening. So one reason why they may not be referring, or not referring as much yet is because there's not trust in you as the practitioner. So this is also in you personally, that personal connection with you. Just think about it. The people that you might connect with the most, or the people you might refer to the most, do you like them? Like, chances are there's some, they either like them for who they are personally, or they're just really great with your patients, right? But there's still some kind of a personal connection. Otherwise, you could choose to refer to someone else also. So their connection with you as a person can also play a role. The second reason why you may not be getting as many referrals as you could be, or any at all yet, is they might not trust in your modality. Now, when we talk about modality, I don't just mean that they think acupuncture can help. It's also beyond that. It's like, what do they actually understand the scope of what acupuncture can help with, or do they just think that it's just used for musculoskeletal pain and that's about it, right? So to what extent do they actually understand the scope of how you can really help their patients? Also, they need to know and understand if it's safe and effective. If it's not safe, they're not going to refer, even if they think it's going to be effective. But if they're kind of scared about safety, or like if you offer Chinese herbs and then they're all concerned about drug interaction, then they won't be referring. So how can you help them feel safer? And also, many of them are concerned about lawsuits these days, and so that's an area of consideration whenever they refer. They don't want to get in trouble for referring to someone who ends up screwing up on their patients, because that's not a good thing, is it? So then how are you communicating your the safety and efficacy of your approach? The third reason why you may not be getting as many referrals as you could be get is because you're not necessarily top of mind awareness for them. So they're busy, and they might be going about their day with so much happening, seeing patients day in and day out. They having nurses get their attention. Vendors are trying to get their attention. Drug reps are stopping by. They're getting calls and requests all the time throughout the day. They're really busy. And so what we want, and if you're not top of mind awareness for them, they're not going to refer. So because today they might have thought about you, and then 2 days later they already forgot about you. This is why drug companies, think about this. Why do drug companies spend so much money sending drug reps to doctors' offices? They know, they have statistics to back it up, that every single time when a drug rep goes and educates the doctor more, there's a spike in prescribing. I've seen this because I've been in the insides of a pharmaceutical industry company, right? So this is the sort of thing that if you are able to get to the point where when doctors are seeing patients during the day and they think, ding, 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 I remember I should refer to this person, that's when you will be getting more referrals from medical doctors. And so thank you for showing the slides, for my help with the slides. So then as far as and Alan, if you could switch back to me, that'd be great. So as far as in terms of what can you do is to actually educate the doctors further, right? Remember we talked about even if they realize that or understand, acupuncture can help with pain, but if there's certain scenarios where they're not as well in understanding about, related to whether it's safe or if it makes sense for this particular situation, that kind of thing, then they're not going to refer for that situation. So one way, how are you going to actually help the doctors understand better? So one great way is to educate them, and then but then how do you educate them when they're really busy seeing patients all the time? So if you're able to have the doctor hop on a Zoom, or if you want to stop by and then also be sharing a couple of key things, then or if you're speaking in front of a more formal, like at a conference or something, where there are providers there. For example, we had a client of ours who spoke to a room full of 50 medical doctors and other kinds of conventional medicine practitioners, and she got 10 patients herself, as far as those doctors coming in to see her, and then she got referrals in addition to that. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, but I don't know about speaking in front of such a large audience. I'd feel a little intimidated for one, and another, I just don't want to be speaking in a large audience. Don't worry, you don't actually have to. You could literally just be talking to one medical doctor, one person. Is that feeling more comfortable? So, yes, but for those of you who want leverage, because imagine if you actually just again, you do one webinar, one talk, and then you're done for a long time. The doctors are referring. You're getting 3 patients a week. You're getting 5 patients a week consistently for a while. Then you don't actually have to be doing marketing for a long time. It's one of the few approaches where you can literally be putting it in place once, and you could be getting referrals 3 months from now, 6 months from now, even a year or longer from now, and not have to be constantly marketing. Other approaches, typically you need to be constantly marketing. Would you agree? And that can get exhausting. You would just like to be focusing on helping your patients and treating patients. So then you just need to have a system that brings in doctor referrals quickly and consistently as well. That works. And so as far as I promised to also share with you what to do when a doctor is not in your insurance network too. So, or the ones that you might seem skeptical. So as far as if you're not a part of their insurance network, it's just a matter of 2 things. One is, what if instead you reached out more to medical doctors who had cash-based practices or who had concierge-based medical practices? Because there are medical doctors like that out there, and their patients are already used to that kind of a culture of paying cash. And so that's one possibility. Second possibility is just because a patient has insurance doesn't always mean that they won't pay cash for it. For example, I can think of 2 instances. Have you ever, perhaps maybe you have insurance, right? But have you ever paid out of pocket ever, happily? So if you have, then that's an example of someone, even though they would but would you also rather prefer to have your insurance be accepted? Of course. Most people, if they are paying for insurance, they want insurance to be accepted. But you still, in the end, also paid out of pocket, right? Why is that? It's because you really saw the value. And so the second possibility is that, again, we can't really judge people for whether they will pay or not. For example, I actually had a client who suggested this patient actually got on a train 1 hour each way to go see her. And she said to her one day, she's like, why don't you see someone closer to you, and she's like, and this person was on Medicaid, right? And because also my client was going to be moving to another location, and it might've been a little bit further away for this person. So, but she said, well, why don't you just let me refer you to a different provider who'd be closer to you. And she said, no, I save up my money every month to come and see you. And it just really hit her, and it really hit me too, right? And as it should hit all of you, that who are we to judge whether someone can afford it or not, or choose to save up their money to come and see you, even if indications are maybe they quote unquote can't afford it, right? And so it's not fair for us as practitioners to judge that. It's fair for us as practitioners to let people know about their options. So if a medical doctor actually says that to you while you're not in our insurance network, you can say, that's true. And I believe, one of the most helpful things for a patient is for them to know their options. And then you could tell that story that I just shared with you. You could say, for example, there's a practitioner who actually had a patient who had Medicaid. And she said, so you could just tell that exact same story to whoever medical doctor you're talking to who might be concerned you're not in their insurance network. So if you're finding this helpful, go ahead and like this or type in the chat what's been one valuable tip so far. And if you want the script that I promised you in terms of an exact script that you can use to help you approach medical doctors for whom you have mutual patients with, so that you can get the ball rolling more to be getting more referrals from medical doctors. Then you can go to introvertedvisionary.com/get MD referrals. And then you just need to know, see, one of the most common mistakes a lot of acupuncturists end up making with this when wanting referrals from medical doctors is not really having a strategy. It's just like, oh, let me go ahead and reach out to these doctors, and oh, I had a good conversation. Oh, they should start referring now, because they said they'd let me know if they had anyone who could refer, right? But how's that worked for you before? And if you haven't tried it before, let me just share with you that typically that doesn't work very well. So you need to do you actually have a strategy that works? Do you actually have systems in place, or even certain things that are automated that support getting doctor referrals? And these are the things that our clients come to us for in our consistent patients makeover mentorship for introverts as well. So you're welcome to go to our website at introvertedvisionary.com. And if you're tired of being at a plateau and would like to be busier consistently with patients, or if you're already busy and you would like to be able to free up your time and be able to still help more people without having to feel so burnt out, then feel free to reach out to us, as we've helped our clients, we've ushered our clients into 6 figures and 7 figures the introverted way. So stay tuned next week for Yer Maimon, who will be your host for AAC show next week. Till next time.